everyone. Walter Parks, Hymns and Hollers, coming to you from St. Louis. That was a little bit of a dodgy version of one of my favorite hymns called Crown Him with Many Crowns. And so Hymns and Hollers, that was a hymn, and now I'll conclude the introduction portion with a holler. This is one from the Okefenokee Swamp, and talk about it all in just a second. Get a little showbiz in there. Playing that one. Anyway, welcome back to the show, and it's good to be doing these again. I think the last one I did might have been in the spring of 2022. I got a little time off here in December of 2022, so I'm coming to you and reaching out, letting you know some of the things I've done in the interim. Love to find out what you guys are doing. You can write me, and I probably can see the comments. I'm not sure, but I love that first song. It's from having since moving to St. Louis, I've gone to a lot of church here, not because St. Louis is particularly churchy, but I think the relatives, the family into which I've married probably attends church more than my family, and it's part of the whole culture in a certain sense, and I've enjoyed it. I have a sort of a friendly relationship with a local pastor at the UCC church, and I wouldn't call myself a church goer, but I like to talk theology with him best I can, and he knows I have a lot of issues with certain Christian dogma and so on, but that's not really what I'm going to go into at this moment. I just in the course of going to in attending services, I've heard some great hymns, and I think I heard this one in the Presbyterian house when I was growing up. Now I wanna share with you guys, when I take on a song, an old hymn, I read the organ music for it, or the piano music as it's played in church, and then I try to convert it to the guitar. So in one sense, these are really simple songs. I mean, they're basically just what we call triads. The first note of the scale, a third, and then a fifth, and but not always. Like, here's the movement. Right before we set up that little bridge, it's sitting on a B flat 7, and then it prepares us for the bridge. Y'all hear that? That's a device that's used in pop music. I didn't know back in the 1700s they were listening to pop music and that sort of thing. But wait a minute, no, it works the reverse. And but check it out. I want you guys to listen to that very opening. Crown him with many crowns. Have you ever heard that chordal movement? You send me, crown him with many crowns. Same stuff, folks. And it's still the formula for the hits. Every breath you take, every bond you break, da 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 da. I'll be watching you, that kind of thing. We're just playing the same tune all over and again, and it could be said that we play it politically and religiously and in love and hatred and all of that stuff, and that does fascinate me about life. So don't for a minute go thinking, oh, that was the way folks did things back then and it doesn't apply to us right now. I think a lot of our answers can be achieved by looking backwards. Now, the Buddhists say you have to stay in the moment, and I don't really buy that too much. I think looking backwards is extremely important. And I think looking forward is important. The problem with looking forward, in my opinion, is that if you have a vivid imagination like I do, you can concoct this vision of the future, and it's really not going to happen that way at all. And I've been recently dealing with some sort of family issues with a pet, and the pet's still hanging on, and every now and then I go down this road of just receiving the darkest phone call and trying to sort of vision envision how I'm going to react. And then I find myself saying, well, why are we doing this? Why am I going down this road? And when I go down that road, that negative road, that imagining the worst case scenario, I realize that other things in my life start to kind of line up in that same way. This camera that is taking images of me right now was missing for a while. Right around the time when I'm still in the midst of dealing with the issues with my dog, but I'm still fighting these negative impulses, negative perceptions. And the camera went missing, and I realized, oh my gosh, I had left our car unlocked a couple of nights ago. And all the while I thought that nothing had been stolen. They had just rifled through looking for cash, and they didn't find any, and we're all good. No, they got my camera. Darn it. And I was hanging I had a long face and was hanging my head for about an hour or two. And then I was sitting at my desk, and I looked off to the left, and underneath my pile of papers was my camera box. So my point is that, it is thought, we like to believe that we can change the future with our positive thinking. And I don't think it's so much that we can make a thing happen, is that instead, I think we can encourage the best possible outcome if we stay positive. And the converse is true of that. We can encourage the worst possible outcome, not just in this thing that we don't want to happen, but in other aspects of our lives. In other words, a negative outlook, whether or not you can help it, can screw up other decisions that you make throughout the day. And conversely, a positive outlook, even if it's not exactly relative to the thing you're going through, can help you go through that thing. So anyway, enough of my philosophy on this morning. But here, one of the projects that I just got back from Monterey, California, or Carmel, and I was asked to play a private party there, and for some folks who knew my music way back when, in the early 90s, and they loved my group, The Nudes, at that time, and they stay in touch with me and hire me to come out to California and play for them. And I had this idea, maybe I should kind of revisit some of my Nudes music, because it was really good music, but I don't think I definitely wasn't the songwriter that I am now. I didn't understand life in the same way. How could I have been? I was in my early 30s. But some of this stuff is good. And so I am reworking some of my favorite songs from that Nudes repertoire. And I'm hoping to convince my colleague and partner, Stephen Williams, to kind of go, kind of lend me the band, so to speak, of the Unlawful Assembly, and maybe we can take on some of this stuff. And instead of calling it a rebirth, like the Christian thing, I'm going to call it renewed. What do you think? So here's one. Standing on the corner, walking on your street, it's there before you people, in everyone you meet. We got love and we got money. We're not tortured or in pain. No one's laughing when it's funny. And it's time for basement, just watching city kids turning over trash cans while they're banging on the lid. Oh, they're breaking down the boundaries of the freedoms that we need, burning down protection. Oh, you say that sets you free. It's about soul. It's the surest thing I know. Fear is a place we choose to go. Peace is a soul that's satisfied. Hope is a soul that hasn't died. Song called Soul. It's from the Velvet Sofa CD of the Nudes, but I don't get that CD. I'm gonna redo it. I'm gonna renew it, and it's probably just gonna be me and a bass player, and some of my favorite drummers. Maybe hopefully Stephen Williams is gonna be a part of it. Talked about going to Monterey. Marga's got a photo that's queued up right now. I want to show you this photo. And let me know, Marga, when there it is. And that, folks, is the Monterey County Fairgrounds. Doesn't look like much. It's an old, kind of a rodeo shed, as they say. Not completely encircled, but it's really a very quaint structure, an old arena. Right now, they've got it. I was there the other day, actually a week ago today. I drove my rental vehicle right into what you see right there, and they're kind of moving some gravel around and maybe getting ready to have a tractor pull. Who knows? But that is where rock and roll festivals, as we know them. It doesn't matter if it's Glastonbury or Woodstock or Watkins Glen or Bonnaroo or all the other ones, Chiquila or whatever they call it, Tequila, what is it, Chico, the one in California, it doesn't matter. This is where they all started. This in 1967. was the site of the Monterey Pop Festival. Jimi Hendrix played there. The Who played there. Janis Joplin, the Jefferson Airplane, Otis Redding, all there. And luminaries were in town. Brian Jones was there to see it and so on. The Mamas and the Papas were one of the organizers of it, I think, whoever the main guy was. Phillips, whatever his name is. But so on that stage that's in the middle of that picture right there, Jimi Hendrix set his guitar afire in an attempt to not be overstaged by the Who, and I think the Who came up behind him a little bit later. I can't remember exactly what happened, but somebody didn't want to follow somebody else. The Who probably didn't want to follow Jimi Hendrix. I mean, Jimmy didn't want to follow the Who or something like that, so he just made sure that he kind of ended the festival, at least in action. It was hard to beat what he did. Nobody before, I think, had set their guitar on fire. And if you want to enjoy a great performance, in my opinion, which is Hendrix's best recorded live performance, it was this early one of his. And I think this was his, sort of penultimate coming out in America, in a sense, this festival. Again, 1967, and his first record had been recorded, or maybe they hadn't even recorded it. I need to get my facts straight before I go on the air, but it was right around then, and he's playing Wild Thing, Can You See Me? I think another B.B. King song. But it's a wonderful performance, and for the most part, he plays his black Stratocaster, and that's not the one he lit on fire. But anyway, it's just so interesting. What's important to some people is not important to others. And about 10 years ago, no, it wasn't 10. It was more than that. Probably solid 15 years ago. I drove right into the Monterey State Fairgrounds. And it was pretty much in the same condition. And by the way, it looks the same as it looked from the pictures. It looks the same today as it. I have no reason to believe that they haven't. It doesn't look like they've remodeled the thing at all. It just looks like the same wood from. I wasn't around in '60. I was around in '67, but I was not in Monterey. But it just looks like they haven't changed a thing, and it's fantastic. There are very few rock and roll monuments, if you will, that are still standing exactly the way they were. The stage looks exactly the same as it is in the videos and the pictures. Check it out. But I took Richie Havens there. We played in Monterey or Santa Cruz or something. We had a day off, and I just drove right into the place. Just didn't ask permission. I just drove right in and just drove around. Those big piles of dirt weren't there. And I was just kind of so pumped up. I was like, Richie, this is 1967, and the following year you played here at the Monterey Jazz Festival or whatever. And he just, it really wasn't that impressive to him. It was, wow. I got an O and a wow. And, these things were just these sort of pinnacle moments or pivotal moments in what would become rock and roll history. That was something he lived every day. He was writing the story. And so, I guess if somebody asked me about playing with Richie Havens, I don't get all excited about it. I mean, I'm happy that I did it, and I'm very grateful for it. But maybe like Richie, he goes through, it was another gig for him. It was a gig that he had to get through, and if you really listen closely to the banter, between song banter that Jimi Hendrix issues forth, in the day. It doesn't matter if it's Atlanta Pop Festival or if he's playing in Copenhagen or if he's playing in Monterey Pop. He's always got some sarcastic complaint that he makes about the sound. And I just love Jimi Hendrix's just how he gets through a gig. Because, and if you look back on it, the sound systems were not nearly equipped to do battle with those guitar amplifiers. The sound systems were most often and assuredly inadequate. And these guys had to sing and try to hear themselves over these loud Marshall amplifiers and the drums and the bass. And I don't even know how they sang for a whole week without singing their voices out. So there were these adverse conditions, and the sound systems were just one of them. Just probably terrible backstage facilities. And, we were all just kind of figuring it all out, how to give a concert. Anyway, but that is part of the whole thing, is figuring out how to work our way through what we have to do and how to survive in it. Christmas time is coming, and I figured I might play a song that's sort of Christmassy. I'm working up to a Christmas concert that I'm doing here in St. Louis, and it's going to be live streamed. It'll be next Saturday, December 10th, I think. This is one of my favorite songs. But it's not a carol. I love doing the old carols, and I'm going to get to those, but not today. But this was one. I love the melody of this one. This is an old Emerson, Lake and it was a Greg Lake song. lose the signal?
I think they can still hear you.
Okay, everybody. Not sure what happened. Maybe the camera battery died. Um,
They can still hear you.
okay. Well, anyway, just stay with me just a second. We're just kind of getting back into the groove of these productions. Um, that was I Believe in Father Christmas, a song by Greg Lake, and I just like it. I'm not sure what he's singing about there. I'm not sure if he really does believe in Father Christmas. I think he's being a little sarcastic. Maybe he wants to believe in Father Christmas. Um, but he is kind of talking about the whole biblical system, I guess, if you will, the biblical story, maybe selling us a bill of goods. I believe that's where he's coming from, but I'm not sure. I gotta really dig into that. You guys help me with that. So Margot's going to see if we can get a signal back here. So hold on. She's working hard, and she's climbing up the telephone pole now. She's got the spikes on her boots, and she's got her drill, and she's got her hard hat on. She's trying to get the wires hooked up. And of course, I kind of swampified that. But tune in if you can this coming Saturday night. I'm going to be playing some of my favorite hymns and hollers, of course, and also some of my favorite Christmas holiday season carols. I mostly like the carols, and I'd also like. Well, here's what I'll be doing. I'll be playing. Oh boy, I'll be playing the Pogue song that I really like. Geez, Fairy Tale of New York. I'll be playing that. I'll be playing Oh Holy Night, Minuit Chrétien. Probably singing that in French. Maybe doing a version of the Christmas song, although that's a little cliche. Oh Come Emmanuel. Lo, how a rose ere blooming. And I've got a lot of work to do. Adeste Fidelis, Silent Night, Hark the Herald Angels Sing. Wow. In the bleak midwinter. Oh my gosh, there's a lot to do.
Where will you be doing this?
I will be doing this at the UCC Church. It's not going to be so churchy. It's in the big room they have called Memorial Hall. We'll be playing in it and doing it in the round. And it's going to be kind of a loose thing, a neighborhood thing. I'm not making a huge big deal of it. It is a free concert for locals. And donations are of course, accepted and appreciated. And the same goes for you onliners. No fee required. We're trying to get the image back, and not sure what. Yeah, you can hear me, so we'll treat this like it's a radio show, I guess, from here on until she gets it right. So, since I've seen you last, we reformed the original version of Swamp Cabbage, my group that brings me so much pleasure musically. I don't like it so much in terms of taking it out on the road because, I become the road manager and have to keep everybody happy, and that's a lot for me to do when I'm trying to just concentrate on the music. But anyway, had such a great time playing in Kansas City and St. Louis 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. Very successful couple of gigs. We had a man come to Kansas City all the way from Lincoln, Nebraska. I think that's about a 3-hour drive. He said, and he was approaching 80 years old. He said, Swamp Cabbage, seeing Swamp Cabbage live has been on my bucket list for almost 20 years. Because the band, we were only 20 years old. So somehow, early on, he found out about us, as did other people in the world, promoters in Spain and so on. But this guy in Lincoln, Nebraska, found out about Swamp Cabbage and has always wanted to see us live. So he finally got a chance to. We came close to him in Kansas City. And the whole place was filled with Swamp Cabbage fans. And it gave me such a wonderful feeling because, you go through life sometimes wondering, what good is all this? Am I reaching out? Am I affecting anybody? It's like, does anybody know who I am? Now, I'm not talking about in terms of musicality. This isn't really an issue of an ego. It doesn't matter if I really believe that even like maybe plumbers think of this. Maybe, guys who, for sure pastors must ask themselves, is my work, am I doing something that's worthwhile here? But anyway, here's one of the songs I started the concerts with a holler, which Swamp Cabbage never used to do, but that's part of what Swamp Cabbage is now. It's like presenting some of my newer stuff, including the spiritual stuff that I've been doing with Stephen Williams. And then we go back and we play some of the Swamp Cabbage tunes. But when I first moved to New York City, about 30 years ago, I was fascinated by those cosmopolitan ladies, but they were kind of a pain in my butt, and they just, they required me to be on time and all of this sort of stuff, and they required me to do exactly what I said I was going to do, and it was just too much of a burden for me at that point. Then I started to realize, you're probably right, But anyway, here's a song that I wrote around that time, and it's a little really fun tune. It kind of has a ragtimey vibe. It's called City Women Don't Marry That Necktie Man. Some other fellas in the band. Come on in, fella. Salvation Army today. watch boats scratching gonna saturate your lingerie. Oh, step on up, darling, put your loin in the old tub, babe. Necktie Man. Well, I guess we're radio right now. I know Margot's scrambling around, so she's trying hard to get the visuals back up. But, you know, I played that pretty good. And I will tell you when I do something dodgy, as if you don't know. I'm just, you know, it's my way of confessing. You know, the Catholics confess. I wasn't brought up to do that, so I created this little broadcast so that I could confess my musical sins to you. I don't know. I'm looking. Yeah, we've got some people listening. Becky, Stephen, Kristen. Yeah, we've got some people tuning in. That's great. I'm probably gonna end things off with a Peter Gabriel song, and I'm not sure if Margot can. She's still working. She is working. She's a line woman for the county here. If I knew that song, I'd go into it because she's enduring so that we can connect. So. Lost my time, lost my place in sky blue. Two blue eyes light your face in sky blue. I know how to fly, I know how to drive in sky blue. Warm wind blowing over the earth, sky blue. I seen through the land sees through me, sky blue. Reaching out to the deepest shade of sky blue. Sky blue. So many miles away from home. I keep moving, please stay moving. Free to wander, free to roam. I can hear the same voice calling, crying out. What a cry it's gonna be if I can stop to let it out. said my goodbye, sky blue. Back on the road, along with sky blue. There's a presence here no one denies, sky blue. Peter Gabriel's song, again, forgive me, I went for it. And it wasn't so bad. It's a tricky song because there's a lot to cover. To my right, you can't see it, but I have 3 of these types of guitars. This is what I call my Roadkill series. They all look the same, basically. Only one pickup, cotton stuffing. I know what I like when I'm playing this swampy stuff. And I'm going to end with a Swamp Cabbage song. This is a song that sort of epitomizes my interest in mixing jazz and spirituals and Appalachian music. And this is a song that I wrote on the road with Richie Havens. Wrote it in London. For a couple of years, I called it the London Rag before we recorded it. And then I was driving my Ford 150 pickup in northeast Georgia and needed to check the oil. I looked under the driver's seat for that red cloth. Why it's red, I'm not sure. But everybody has a red cloth in their car, if you got a cloth. And at that moment, I realized I wasn't going to call this song the London Rag anymore. It was going to be called the Dipstick Rag. Playing that song, and I really enjoy these broadcasts, and I hope you guys stay tuned. I hear from people all over the country when I travel around. I'm always surprised at how many people in all corners are kind of listening and tuning in. I appreciate your donations if you can give a little. If you can't, no big deal. Um, but think about think about maybe picking up a CD. There's all of my whole collection is online. They make good Christmas gifts, and um, you can give them to other folks if you have the music. CDs are. Margot tells me they're making a resurgence. I don't know. I guess enough time has passed. They're actually considered by young people to be vintage now. They certainly sound better than records. I mean, records are fun and everything, but hey, also these are the times of Thanksgiving and celebrating the Christmas story and all of that, and the best that you can. I want to close by saying this. One of the things I learned about this episode with my dog. Now you might be saying, "Oh, who cares about a dog? It's a damn dog." Let's talk about people. But this is going to apply to every situation. I realized with my dog that, at one point, everybody. First of all, dealing with a sick dog is a little bit like having a wedding or preparing a wedding, or how to handle a sick dog. Is everybody's got their own idea of how you should do it. One of the things that I hear most often is they will let you know when they're ready. Well, that may be true, because I haven't experienced that exactly. Well, in one dog years back, but I'm that bothers me a little bit, because I kind of don't want to wait till they let me know. But on the other hand, you want to have them as long as possible, right? So there's that dilemma. But my dog looked at me the other day, and we were on the way to the hospital for him, a pre-scheduled appointment. And he looked at me, and he did not have this look, and I know my dog. He did not have this look like, I need you to, I'm ready to go. He just said, he had the look in his eyes of like, help me, just help me. And I realized in that moment, again, this applies to people, and that's why I'm even saying this. I mean, it applies to dogs if you want it to apply to dogs. It's the concept of advocacy. Myself and Margot are absolutely this guy's only advocates in the whole universe. We're the only people that really care enough to try to fix his problem. And I've been in a real funk for the last month and a half, just researching this guy's situation. He's got cancer, and I've learned more about dog cancer than I ever hoped to know. But my point is, we rolled up our sleeves, we dug into it, we advocated for this guy, and we think we've improved his situation. This is all to say, there are people in your community and dogs in your community, animals, whatever, for whom you can advocate. And there are people who need you and need a little bit of your time if you have the time. And it takes time. You have to roll up your sleeves. You have to read paperwork. You have to get online and do some research. It may be a legal issue. It may be a medical issue. But some people just don't have anybody. Some creatures don't have anybody. And it just drove home this point of advocacy. And if you can be an advocate for another creature, it feels great, but it's not about the ego. You can really make a difference, because a lot of people don't know how on earth to improve their situation. And that's what I'm going to close with. I hope you guys have enjoyed a little bit of this show. We're at the hour mark now, and I'll see you next week. And I kind of like this little. She's got a little GoPro image. It looks really old school looking. Kind of matches my beard. This is a camera that was around during the Civil War, and so. But I kind of like the vibe of it. Maybe we'll just do this. But anyway, see you guys next Sunday. I will have just played a show the night before, and maybe I'll share some more of those carols that I learned this week. Bye-bye. Walter Parks, Hymns and Hollers. Thanks to Margot.